It is a charm offensive launched by the Social Security and National Insurance Trust, desperate to assure workers that your pension contributions are safe. But already, one of the key measures outlined by SSNIT to save the scheme from collapse is facing resistance. Organized labor is preparing for a showdown as SSNIT prepares to engage over a proposed increase in contribution rate that may also impact your immediate take-home pay. Now, a recent alarming report from the International Labour Organization, ILO, projects that SSNIT's reserves will deplete to zero by 2036. If nothing is done to avert this, SSNIT will struggle to pay you what you are due when you retire. A key intervention to save the scheme is to increase the rate of contributions from the current 18.5%. Now listen to Joseph Poku, he's a chief actuary at SSNIT.
What has run through all these reports is the need for increase in contribution rates. In all the reports, the previous reports, that is what it says, that we need to increase the contribution rates. But ladies and gentlemen, let me mention that it doesn't come easy to increase contribution rates. It means the law has to be changed. We need to engage stakeholders. We have the employers. We have the workers as a group. We have a regulator, and then even parliament and government. So it goes through a process, and that process is a bit long. So after SSNIT has even made some of these proposals, we are now going to engage the NPRA, and then we get the stakeholders like employers, because they are also going to be affected. They are going to pay their part, and then the worker group, how do you call it? The unions. They are also part, big stakeholders. Before it goes through Attorney General's office, before Parliament, before it gets to the President, before it sends away, before the changes can be effected, before the implementation. So in order not to wait for all these processes to roll, which will take a couple of years, management of SSNIT are already taking measures to make sure that the scheme becomes more sustainable or improve on the sustainability of the scheme without waiting for just the contribution rate to be increased by law.
Well, even before SSNIT begins to engage on the matter, organized labor is already resisting any talk of increasing the contribution rate. They accuse SSNIT of being poor managers of the 18.5% contributions they currently take. Angel Kabonu is president of the National Association of Graduate Teachers.
Well, the little that we've given to them, they've not been able to manage, and they want more from workers. We cannot even be having a conversation about increased contribution when we don't change the structure, the political and administrative structure of SSNIT, and hide SSNIT from the tentacles of government and make it an independent social security and insurance trust away from the directives and influence of government. That is when the worker will have confidence that if I am contributing this amount of money or this percentage of my salary, then I can get something meaningful. Historically, SSNIT have not proven to workers that they have what it takes to prudently invest workers' money. So they should not even be talking about increment. They should be talking about changing the structure, the administrative structure of SSNIT.
My colleague Kweku Asante was at that news conference, joins me in the studio now. Kweku, when we broke this story last week, the focus was on the 2036 projection, by which the scheme, the reserves would have depleted to zero, according to the ILO actuarial study. Now, that has alarmed many. Did SSNIT address this?
Well, SSNIT agrees that that is indeed a very grim projection that the ILO report has put out, and they themselves have been aware of the findings of this. But they seek to assure the public that there had been previous actuarial projections that had also projected, in fact, one projecting that by 2020 the reserves would have been depleted. They say that none of these came to pass and that they believe they've put in place enough measures to avert such a projection.
So the findings in the report, as I said, it gives you a telescopic view of what is possible to happen, not in certainty. It doesn't any way guarantee that what the recommendations are is going to happen at all costs. That's not what it is. So it gives you an idea that based on these assumptions, this is likely to happen, not certainty. So by the law that we operate under, that is Act 766, we are enjoined to obtain an actuarial valuation report from external actuaries once every 3 years. That is by law. So SSNIT does that. And we have been doing this since inception. In fact, this is about the 14th report that has come out since the operations of the SSNIT scheme. So every 3 years, we engage the services of external actuaries to produce a report about the scheme's health, about the assets, liabilities, how they are performing, and going into the future, what is likely to happen. So in the 2020 report, before I get to the 2020 external valuation reports, let me go back to 2011. Like I said, every 3 years, we are supposed to obtain this report from the external actuaries. So we have 2020, the one where we are talking about now, 2017, 14, 11, 8, and so on and so forth. So every 3 years. So let's go back all the way to the 2011 external valuation reports. So the report says, among other things, that if contribution rates were not increased in the future, the annual expenditure on benefit and administration would exceed income from contributions, and the funds from 2019 coming will just tank. So what it says was that by 2019, we were not going to have enough money to pay benefits. Ladies and gentlemen, we are in 2024, and we have never defaulted in payments of benefits from 2019 up to date. So that is telling you what I said earlier, that it gives you an idea that you have to take some measures and make sure that it doesn't happen. That's exactly what the report is about. So this report is not different from the reports that we've obtained over the years. Like I said, it gives you an idea where you are going as a scheme, and then you take proactive measures to steer off if there is any danger ahead of you. That's exactly what it does.
So he's talking about measures they need to take to avert the outcome, the 2036 outcome where the reserve deplete to zero. One of the major challenges that was identified that SSNIT agrees to is that government owes it significant amounts in terms of monies they've taken from workers' salaries, but they're yet to pay to SSNIT itself as part of the contributions to it. What is SSNIT doing about this?
Well, SSNIT says they are pursuing government to collect this. In fact, up until January this year, government has paid all its due to SSNIT to January this year. That means workers' deduction from February and March have not been paid. But there's also the question of the legacy debt that runs into billions of cedis. At some point, the SSNIT actuary said he's not so clear about the figure. Later on, he comes in and said it's about $2 billion. But there's ultimately the question about the interest and other issues that come with it. If government fails to do so, the penalty that they have to pay for that, which send this into the eights and the tens of billions of cedis. They say that they are on government's heels to collect this money.
But when it comes to the government, we've engaged the government to ensure that they are current on monthly contributions. In fact, we are guiding them to be current, and they are, as we speak, okay, I'll get there. So previously, government had issued bonds to meet arrears, and all coupon payments have been met, the bonds that they have issued. Recently, they issued a bond for $1 billion, and discussions are ongoing for bonds to be issued for the rest of the money that they owe. Monthly contributions have been paid up to January 2024. Okay, so here's the thing. These legacy debts, before we can come to a final figure, there has to be an agreement. There has to be some kind of discussion with the state, with the government, and then we arrive at that debt. Because even when it comes to the computation of debt, we have a way, we know based on the law, do our computation. We need to sit with the government as we are doing, and then they will go through everything before we can arrive at a definite figure. It's an operational issue. I cannot give you a exact figure now, which might even be different after the reconciliation between the government and SSNIT has happened. So I'm sorry, I can't give you a definite figure now about the legacy debt. Don't forget, what I can tell you is that the debt has a principle. And like any other institution under the law, it says that when you delay in payment, there has to be interest or there has to be penalty. So the debt has a principal component and then the penalty. So we need to agree on all that before we can come out with the total debt that the government owes SSNIT. I said we're negotiating, we want to come out with a fact. I mentioned that we have a principle and we have interest on the debt. Because of the negotiations going on, that's why I didn't want to commit. Because after the reconciliation, the figure might change. So it's an ongoing process, but we'll come out with the debt and everybody will know about it. As we speak, as at March this year, the principal was hovering around 2.6 billion. That's the principal. But we have the penalty and the interest adding up to it. It could be for about 4 times that, just as it applies to any employer.
2.6 billion. That's quite a significant amount of money. We'll talk to Labour now that we're getting some figures around how much government owes SSNIT, because monies have already been deducted from the workers' salaries pretty shortly. We'll talk to Labour pretty shortly, but I want still stay with me quick on this subject of what is wrong with the scheme currently. And he makes the point there that you need to do a few things now to avert that grim outcome. One of them is making sure that your investments that SSNIT is currently making will yield the right returns. SSNIT admits they have challenges there.
Yes. In fact, they talk about investment with MTN, for instance, that they are urgently trying to review the modalities and all that. But the bottom line for SSNIT is that they are undertaking a holistic review of all its investment to ensure that they are returning the best of returns to customers and the persons who are putting their money in things that ultimately these returns will yield some great benefits and dividends for customers.
When it comes to investments, we've been managing investment risks to improve investment returns through one, the implementation of an asset allocation policy and undertaking investments in line with the policy. We are currently working to rebalance our investment portfolio to achieve the policy target. Increasing investments in fixed income securities is core to our strategy and our asset allocation strategy. Enhanced monitoring and reporting on asset class and sector exposures, restructuring of non-performing investee companies, including setting performance targets for investee companies. Increasing investment in viable listed equities, that is listed banks, and then MTN. Improving real estate returns by continuing to complete and monetize ongoing real estate projects in line with asset allocation strategy. Completion and sale of affordable housing projects to enhance income generation. We also sought SSNIT board's approval to refurbish key commercial properties in the rich area to improve occupancy and also rental income.
And we'll bring in now Angel Kabonu. Angel Kabonu is the president of the National Association of Graduate Teachers, NAGRAD. Also joining me is Abdullah Mashood, is executive director of the Africa Center for Retirement Research. Thank you, gentlemen, for your time. Angel Kabonu, let me start with you. Are you reassured that your pension contributions are safe? Listening to SSNIT lay out the raft of measures to avert that grim outcome projected by the ILO report?
Evans, your line is very thin. The line out should be increased so that we can hear.
Can you hear me now? Is it better?
Well,
is it better?
But they need to increase the line out.
Okay.
Yeah, hello.
I'm going to try again, see if it helps. I'm asking if you've listened to SSNIT now. They try to lay out the measures that they want to implement or are already implementing to avert this outcome that is predicted by the ILO report. Are you reassured?
I am not, because even when the ILO report came, they kept it under the shelf. They did not even share it with the downlines. They have union representatives on the board. They have other stakeholder representatives on the board. But they didn't share that with us. An indication that, but for the revelation that was done by the consultant on your program, the public was not going to know. Now, you see, what the SSNIT is relying on is the fact that even if they don't have money, then government will be coming up with money to be able to pay beneficiaries. And as a result of that, we should not worry when their investment practices and the various platforms they invest are in the negative. That is not the purpose for which SSNIT was established. SSNIT is supposed to take our money and invest those monies on very prudent platforms. And SSNIT ought to hide itself from the largesse of government. So they are hiding under the wings of government to be telling us that there was a projection some time ago and the projection did not come to fruition. Therefore, and you see, the people at SSNIT are supposed to be actuaries. And I think that the level of exactitude of actuaries ought to be a very high one. You know, so some of us are not assured one bit. SSNIT is supposed to take money from us and government. SSNIT is supposed to invest the money they take from us prudently and make the beneficiaries get adequate returns on the investments that they have done. Also make people know how much their investment is accruing at the various investment platforms that they've chosen. That is when we see an independent, serious institution that is accountable to the people who own it.
Abdallah, you were the first to make this disclosure. You blew the whistle on this ILO report. You've listened to SSNIT trying to explain the report. They seem to suggest, in a nutshell, that we all have nothing to worry about. We can all go to sleep and retire and just walk to sleep and take our monies and walk home smiling. Do you share that confidence?
Okay, thank you, Evans. Thank you for the opportunity. First of all, let me say, SSNIT's response to the ILO actual valuation report represents a significant progress as far as transparency in social security administration and governance in Ghana is concerned. This is the first time we are having the opportunity to discuss SSNIT's actual valuation report. I remember the chief actuary has indicated that this is the 14th report. The chief actuary has indicated that they have put some measures in place. Of course, he has admitted that the depletion date is indeed set at 2036. And he has indicated that they have put some measures in place to improve the financial situation. Look, this is not the time for us to be defensive. This is not the time.
Abdallah, do you have a radio on close to you?
No, please.
Okay, I'm having a feedback somewhere. We need to rectify that.
Is
Yes,
it okay?
proceed. Yes.
Is it okay now?
It is.
Yeah, so what I'm saying is that this is not the time for us to be defensive. This is a social security program that is feeding nearly 250,000 pensioners and their families. It is a program that holds the future of more than 1.8 million contributors in this country. That is how strong such a program is. And this is not the point for us to be, what do they call, playing with politics and all that. We don't have to be defensive. Look, it is very normal to be told in an actual valuation report that your skill reserves are depleting due to changes in demographic and economic conditions, and of course, rising cost of benefits. But what is not normal is when stakeholders sit back and do nothing. That is what is wrong.
So on that point, though, they tell us today that they are doing something. And I'll come to the suggestion about increasing contribution rate pretty shortly with Angel Carbono. They say they are looking at investments. I want to ask you, the raft of measures that you've heard them outline today, will they be enough to avert the outcome projected by ILO?
Well, I didn't listen to the press conference, but I heard he mentioned, increasing the contribution rate from the current 11%. This is an integral part of the actual recommendation. In fact, it was central. In 2014, we were told that if we don't increase the contribution rate beyond the 11% to the SSNIT scheme, it's going to deplete. In 2017, we were told. In 2020, we are told. That is the main recommendation. We talked about government indebtedness. I have told you that government indebtedness inflicts the biggest pain as far as the sustainability, of the SSNIT scheme is concerned. Don't forget, the ILO report we are discussing today is in respect of the trust activities for the period 2018 to 2020. The current actual situation of the scheme, comprising 2021 to 2023, is unknown. But let me just give you a hint of the possible outlook of the next actual valuation report, for which reason we can't go and sleep based on the assurance we are given. A good assurance has come, but we need to follow it through. I'm going to just use 4 parameters. Dependency ratio. The dependency ratio is a very big indicator that is contributing to what an actual opinion is going to be given in a particular valuation period. The dependency ratio is looking at the number of contributors or the number of workers who are contributing to the scheme to support one pensioner. Generally, not long ago, we had 17 workers contributing to support one pensioner. As we speak today, it is 7. And from 2021 to 2023, it's likely to go down even more due to general economic conditions and state of migration. In 2014, 2017, 2020 evaluations, migration was assumed to be 0. I'm not sure the next valuation period, 2021 to 2023, ILO can afford to set migration at 0, because we have had active labor force flying out of this country in search of greener pastures, and that is going to reflect in the dependency ratio. Real returns on investments. In 2021, of course, I'm analyzing the period 2021 to 2023, which is going to comprise the next actual valuation period. 2021, SSNIT posted a positive real returns on their investment, plus 8.84. With, 2022 and 2023, inflation averaged 31.47 in 2022 and 40.28% in 2023. With these astronomical figures, Evans, I have a very big doubt whether SSNIT can post a positive real returns on their investment in 2022 and 2023. And that is going to feature prominently in the outlook of the next valuation report.
Very interesting revelations there. And one of the central recommendations that we had today that SSNIT says they need to engage on is a proposal to increase the contribution rate. Angel Kabonu, SSNIT says today that increasing the contribution rate is an essential part of saving the scheme. I've heard you already say that they're not good managers of what you're already contributing. But if this will save the scheme, why not support it? Hello, Mr. Kabonu, can you hear me?
Yeah, repeat your question.
The proposal to increase the contribution rate.
Well, why will you want us to increase any contribution when the outcome of your management is indicated that you have failed? How do we call for increment when an international body is determined that you have not prudently managed the institution? The little that we're giving you, you have not been able to render account on your stewardship. Then you are calling for more money? What is changed in terms of governance? What is changed in terms of government control? When you have an organization that is infested with political appointments, and you are, instead of being accountable to the contributors, you are accountable to a political figure. Is this an institution that can justify a call that people should increase their contribution? From where I sit, the answer is absolutely no. The answer is absolutely no.
But if you don't do that, if you don't agree for this to happen, you are facing a much grimmer outcome, which is that 2036, the scheme may struggle.
Look, you see, Evans, I want you to bring to your studio some SSNIT beneficiaries and sit them down and let them tell you how much they earn monthly from SSNIT payments. And ask yourself that from the time of the for establishment of SSNIT to date, whether SSNIT is prudently manage its affairs. The other thing that you look at is SSNIT is supposed to weather the storm for the worker by providing the worker with affordable housing. What we have now is not affordable housing. It is avoidable housing. because the price of the houses that are sold are beyond the reach of the contributor. And let us also sit down and go in depth into the name of the institution we are talking about, Social Security and Insurance Trust. Ask me whether they have lived up to their name. I don't think I will ever support any increment. I will rather call for the change in the governance structure of SSNIT and make the contributors more representative on the board of SSNIT and ensure that SSNIT follows the rules and regulations in investing people's money. That is what I'll call for.
And so, because I have you on the line, I know you also have issues with Tier 2, and you've made demands of the government. As far as Tier 2 contributions are concerned, your monies were deducted at source, but they haven't been paid yet. And you've already served notice that May 2nd, you will act. Have you heard anything from government?
Well, a meeting is being called by the Minister for Pensions. That is the Minister for Employment and Labor Relations, Mr. Ignatius Bafwe, tomorrow, 10 o'clock, in his conference room. That meeting will clarify the payment situation as tomorrow. And then a final decision will be taken from that conference room by the labor group. But the same is behavior and the tolerance and how management is tolerating government all the years. The same is behavior of government to SSNIT is the same misbehavior government wants to introduce to the payment of Tier 2 obligations, where government fails on its responsibility to transmit payments adequately and timeously to the various trust boards for investment. It is that same misbehavior government wants to extend to the Tier 2s.
And today we got some clarity from SSNIT that when it comes to your SSNIT contributions that have already been deducted from your salaries, government owes it, as far as principal is concerned, more than 2 billion.
And that is disturbing because, you see, SSNIT is being economical with the truth. There are a lot of past credits of lump sum that they ought to have transmitted to the various Tier 2 trust boards. And SSNIT came to tell the leadership of Labour that they do not have the money and that the only means by which that money can be paid is when the government decides to come up with the money. So as I speak, there were a lot of people who retired from public service with meager amount of money just because SSNIT did not transmit the component of past credit to the various trust boards. So if you don't have money to pay for money that is in your custody, what are you standing on to give me any assurance?
Mr. Kabunu, thank you very much. Abdullahi Mashood is Executive Director of Africa Center for Retirement Research. I'm grateful that you joined me with your thoughts. I want to hear from you. 055-1111-997. Issues of pensions affects every single individual. If you work, share your thoughts with me here on Newsnight. We start in a minute.
I send them, you get them. I get them, I send them.
I get them.
I pay them.
Telesale cash. I get them. I pick them. Telesale cash.
You get them.
I send them. Telesale cash.
I send them, you get them.
Telesale cash.
I get them.
I buy them. I take them.
I pay them. I send them.
Telesale cash. Telesale cash.
Experience the ultimate convenience of sending money on Telesale Cash. Sending money from Telesale Cash to Telesale Cash is free. You can also make payments to merchants on all networks. Enjoy best value and total security with Telesale Cash.
Telecel, connecting energies.
Great news
Christmas is here. Batmat is here again. XXL clearance sale. Guaranteed savings. From now till the end of April, the big sale continues. Get discounts of up to 70% off sanitary wares, light tiles, waterproofing, and all other product families. It's the year to get things done. Visit our showroom at the North Industrial Area next to the Winners Chapel, Ghana. Don't miss out. Batmat, welcome home.
Showtime, good life time. Paddy, how is your good life?
Hey, before you attack that sumptuous variety of foods with Toto, do yourself a favor.
Wash your hands with soap under running water. You pour before you eat, and at all other critical moments. That is,
before you cook, after you visit the toilet, change your baby's diaper,
and when you return home from anywhere.
Let's all come aboard Good Life by washing our hands with soap under running water and at all other critical moments to keep the germs away from our family. Good Life, live it well. It's an everyday thing. Good Life from Ghana Health Service and partners with support from USAID.
Tonight, where is the money? Chiefs and people of flood-affected communities in the Volta region take on government, demanding full disclosure of funds allocated or budgeted for to assist victims nearly a year on from the Volta floods that destroyed livelihoods.
We are yet to see any development that can confirm that money has been released. There is nothing like that in the traditional area to prove that monies like that is being used for any project in the town.
Tonight we're looking into concerns by victims of the Akosombo floods who say they're still living in distress.
We don't know who is keeping that money, and we have certainly not seen it work. So I'm asking, where is the money? What is the money being used for?
Also tonight, NDC demands arrest and prosecution of all persons involved in the GRA SML deal.
The NDC also demands the immediate arrest and prosecution of all persons involved in the award of these illegal contracts and payment of these illegal fees to SML. We in the NDC hereby demand the immediate termination of all, not some, illegal contracts entered into between SML and the GRA. The retrieval of all payments.
And in business, Chamber of Petroleum Consumers COPEC forecast fuel prices to remain unchanged in the first pricing window in May.
And as well as we hear from Black Stars captain Andrea Yu, who's apologizing for the team's recent performance and asking for patience as the team looks to improve.
And tonight we hit the campaign trail, joining Dr. Mahmoud Baumia, who has been promising to expand community mining and set up a minerals development bank as part of wide-ranging reforms to encourage sustainable mining in Ghana if he's elected president later this year.
Just as we have done for Agri Development Bank, we will have a Minerals Development Bank so that when we discover the minerals, they can finance exploitation of the minerals and we keep the money in Ghana.
And I want to hear from you here on News 9055111197. Tonight, where is the money that chiefs and people of the flood-affected communities in the Volta region are taking on government, demanding full disclosure of funds allocated or budgeted for to assist them? Nearly a year on from the Volta floods that destroyed livelihoods there. Now, the chiefs and people in the communities in the Volta region say they remain in distress 6 months after floods from the Akosumo Dam spillage devastated their communities and forced more than 39,000 people out of their homes. Details in the following excerpt of a Hotline documentary, After the Floods, by Carlos.
The Volta River Authority, the VRA, announced a controlled spillage of the Akosombo Hydro Dam on September 15, 2023, citing excess water levels. However, this single decision became and still is a major disaster in the area thus far, affecting an estimated 39,000 people in the lower Volta Basin. Public toilets, mortuaries, hospitals, refuse dams, homes, farms, schools, and even roads were submerged. Education was severely disrupted. Classrooms became bedrooms.
They don't have any class to learn. There is nothing like class for them. So UNICEF came to our aid to donate this tent for the teachers and the students to be managing.
How many kids do you have in this class?
Over 74.
And you are the only teacher?
Yes, please. The situation here is not easy, but we are managing. Monday morning, the kids sometimes they pick those things and bring them here.
Livelihoods were shattered. Meet 38-year-old Patrick Wolanyo. He is a father of two. Before the flood, he relied on this cornmeal and domestic poultry for income. Not only has his livelihood been washed away with the rushing flood waters, Patrick is now homeless.
Before the flood, this is what I've been using. This is my property. This is what I get my daily bread away from to feed my family. But since the flood have taken place, you can now even see my place. The whole thing have been immersed in the water, so I can't even use the machine anymore. Now it's been destroyed. Life is very difficult now. I don't even have anything doing anymore.
Hectares of crop farms, hundreds of livestock, fish ponds, and the future investment of the youth have all not been spared.
The size of the farm is almost 20, so the 15 hectares was submerged by the water.
It's about 4 months now. How are we going to survive our children? We're going to school. And our coconut, my cassava farm, I and Lo, I'm having cassava farm about 10 acres. And the others, they are having. In Siko right now, if you go to the farm top, everything turned to firewood.
I had 3,000 fingerlings per pond, and I had 8 ponds in all. All put together, I invested about 100,000 Ghana cedis. Everything is gone.
100,000 Ghana cedis.
I am traumatized and hopeless. I used to depend on my plantain farm in my backyard. I sometimes sold a bunch for 150 cedis. But now my farm, my house, have all been flooded. I am homeless and hungry. There's no support from anywhere.
2 million. 1.5 ukome makata ochichima akabavala giegbe doharela makponu maruga kobola no makplinga malada kakmo.
Rebuilding these communities and homes more than 6 months after the flood does not seem possible for many.
Those who were negligent, those
who shirk their responsibilities and cause us all of this pain, this devastation, this catastrophe are brought to book. The presidency, did this go to cabinet? Did cabinet give the green light? What did they check before they gave the green light? We need to know.
If 36,000 people in upper class Accra were displaced, would we be this quiet and this indifferent? If cantonments, Ridge, East Airport, Airport Residential, if those places, if they lay in the pathways of the spillage, would we just have pumped water and displaced 36,000 of the bourgeoisie? And would this country be as peaceful as it is? It is an indictment on us, the elite. I count myself as part. It is an indictment on us that when things affect the ordinary people, we are a little bit more indifferent. The most dangerous creation of any society is the man with nothing to lose. That is what we are doing.
My colleague Carlos, who was following up on the story and his documentary, just what you just heard, joins me in the studio right now. And Carlos, you went into the ground. You've been speaking to the people for this particular documentary. We know that government told us in the budget that a significant amount of money had been allocated for the issue with the floods. Resettle, compensate, etc. Right? Yeah. The president subsequently also went there and talked about what you're doing as far as the release of the funds. So first, let's go through what the budget said they had, but government had put together for the victims.
Okay, so in the budget, the government said they had set aside 220 million Ghana cedis.
Okay, so that's the amount that was budgeted for.
Exactly.
And you went to the ground. You spoke to the people. What did they tell you? Have they seen anything come to them from this money?
Not at all. I know, according to those we spoke to, they have not seen any money. They have not seen any work on the grounds to actually establish if indeed these monies have been spent. And you recall also that some 80 million of that money were told has been released by the Ministry of Finance to support the ongoing rehabilitation efforts for the affected communities. But according to the chief of MEPE, they have not seen that money.
We don't know where the money is. We have not seen the money's work in our traditional area. We keep hearing that money has been released. We don't know where it is. We don't know who is keeping that money, and we have certainly not seen it work. So I'm asking, where is the money? What is the money being used for? Because my people are still suffering. My people are still in tents, even though we've heard that they want to start something, but we have not seen anything. We as leaders, we are being taking the blame for government's pronouncement because we are the first point of information. When they need something, they come to us with their concerns. So anytime they come, they've heard that government has given money. So they think the money is with us. They think the money has come to us and we have been using the money and we have not been taking care of them. So it's a lot of questions that keeps coming to us, and you can see the pain, the frustrations in their faces whenever they come to ask us. They've heard that, money has been allocated to farmers in the affected areas. They keep coming to us for those information also, and we are unable to answer because there is no information for us to pass it on to them. We are yet to see any development that can confirm that money has been released. There is nothing like that in the traditional area to prove that monies like that is being used for any project in the town. We demand that if it has been released for the purpose of helping the flood victims, resettlement or compensation or whatever the money has been released for, we want to see it work. We don't want to see the cash. We want to see what the money is meant for, the work that is supposed to do in the community. That is all that we are after.
Let's go to Parliament now. I want to bring in a Member of Parliament for North Tong, who joins us right now, Samuel Kudita Blakwa. Mr. Blakwa, thanks for your time here on Newsnight. You are in Parliament. You have the power to ask questions. I wonder if you've been briefed. In the 2024 budget, we're told that 220 million cedis had been put aside to help the victims of the floods. Do you know where the money is currently?
Good evening, Evans. Good evening to our listeners. I do not know where that money is. We all know that there is a world of difference between an allocation in the budget and an actual release of that allocation. Indeed, if you check the records of Parliament, I have filed urgent questions. Last month, the Minister for Works and Housing responded to one of those urgent questions when the President at the 6th March Independence Day event indicated that they had spent 80 million out of that 220 million. It came to us as a shock. So I filed an urgent question demanding the breakdown on utilization, where the money was utilized, what it was utilized on, so that we can verify in the pursuit of our oversight mandate and in the representation of our people who are the victims of this disaster. To our utter surprise, we could not get clarity from the Works and Housing Minister. He couldn't tell us where the 80 million cedis is, what it has been spent on, what the utilization is, and he left Parliament more confused and more hazy than we were before he came to respond to that question. So, really, Evans, we feel abandoned, neglected, totally rejected by the government, who we expect that this man-made disaster, they determined that on the 15th of September, they will open the floods. The VRA opened the floodgates, and on the 15th of September, we were taken by surprise and suffered this disaster, this catastrophe, which has left people displaced, homeless, and as I speak to you, thousands remain in tents. It's 8 months now almost. The question I ask Evans is, if Ghanaians had not come to our aid, NGOs, organizations, embassies, and we were prudent in that management and were able to get 2 resettlements housing 600 people, where will all of these displaced people be? I mean, we are on the 3rd project now, the MP and Partners projects, but there's not much we can do. The catastrophe is on a large scale. We expect government to carry out its mandate, to be responsive. I mean, 8 months, if a whole government cannot take care of its citizens after many months of a spillage which could have been better managed, people could have been given notice, ample notice to move away so that we even reduce the impact. That was not done. The response, I mean, we are told that there is an interministerial committee. We are still waiting for a visit by the interministerial committee, for even an opportunity to meet the interministerial committee. I have asked in Parliament, time without number, when would they invite us, invite the chiefs, invite the MPs, the DCEs, so that we can even present them with the data. As we speak, I am not sure that government even knows how many people are affected, specifically their names, their address, where they can be located. I am not sure that government has even done an analysis on how much is required for compensation. So one wonders, what have we done to really suffer this cruelty, this total neglect? What have we done?
Well, the last time we heard from the Works and Housing Minister, government was still doing an assessment to determine how much exactly will go, what sort of resettlement and low-cost housing they promise would happen. On the ground, you talk to the people on a daily basis. Have you engaged any of the government assessors on the ground?
So the last time the Works and Housing Minister visited, he told the chiefs that they should prepare land. Government will soon arrive. That was about, 3 weeks ago. When the chiefs asked him for designs, if they could have a look at the designs for the housing project, he told the chiefs that the designs were not ready. So it's a very lackadaisical, a very nonchalant attitude. It's as though let's pretend after many months, when there is an outcry, when they are reminded that they have an obligation, there is a constitutional mandate imposed on them, then they come around. But that's it. I mean, no concrete effort. I mean, as I was asking this morning on the Super Morning Show, if this was a by-election situation, would this be the attitude? So you can see that with what is going on in Ejiso currently, government has the resources. Government can prioritize this disaster response if it is minded to do so. Because we see the new projects that have come about in the Ejiso constituency, because there's a parliamentary seat to be won. How about fellow citizens, thousands of them, living in tents? They've lost everything. Farmers who cannot return to their farms because their farms were submerged, and they don't have the means to return to their livelihood. They don't want to remain beggars. They don't want to remain, people who are at the mercy of charity. They don't want to continue to live in abject squalor.
And very briefly, I know you've asked questions in Parliament on this, but since the evidence on the ground and from our own visit, the community members tell us they haven't seen much. What more can you do, or what more do you intend to do? First of all, to get clarity about the 220 million that was allocated, where the money is and what is happening to it.
To be very sincere with you, we have begun discussions with our lawyers. We've done everything we can do in Parliament. We have filed motions, we've made statements, we've filed urgent questions, we have engaged ministers. It's clear that this is a clear case of government abdicating and engaging in cruel neglect. So we are considering a class action. We are talking to our lawyers, and we want to take legal action to compel government to be responsible and be responsive to the plight of the victims of this man-made disaster which they created. So
you're going to ask for compensation?
It appears that that's the only realistic option we have now.
Will this class action ask for compensation for the victims?
Definitely. We are going to demand resettlement and compensation as the people deserve. It's their right.
Okay. Thank you very much. That's Samuel Kudita Blakwa. There is the MP for Noktong. And if you are in one of those affected communities, you want to join us with your thoughts, 055-111-997. The full documentary has aired already in the morning on radio. It's going to be on television also at 8:30. You don't want to miss that. You also can check it out on our social media platforms. I'll share your thoughts with the rest of the world pretty shortly. You're still live here on Newsnight. It's Enjoy 99.7 FM. And to that raging GRA SML controversy on the back of the KPMG report last week, which we also heard the president comment on. The National Democratic Congress has called the news conference today, and they are demanding the immediate arrest and prosecution of individuals implicated in that deal. In the studio with me right now is my colleague Michael Papani-Ashali, who just returned from that news conference. Papa, so the NDC is making fresh allegations?
Yes, Evan. So they start by saying that one of the managing directors of SML engaged in potential insider trading. They believe that they actually say that he transitioned from a role at the GRA to manage SML upon the commencement of their contract with GRA in 2020. Now they go on to argue that the transactions between GRA and SML violated procurement laws, GRA Act, and even the Public Financial Management Act, which they believe that lacked the required approval from Parliament as well. They go ahead to say that, to make some other claims. SML says that they have helped to curb malfeasance and save the country some revenue. They think that that is false, that the market in itself, the petroleum market in itself, may have helped in that revenue that we have seen, not necessarily because of processes put in place by SMS. Finally, they also say that, well, the payments made by the government to SML under these unlawful transactions totaling 1 billion cedis were labeled as illegal themselves. And again, that money should be taken back from the group. But let's listen to some of these allegations made by Sami Jemfi.
Before we even get there, they are making some strong demands tonight.
Yes, they are making 4 demands actually. So these demands, we understand, are essentially one, to get these persons, anybody involved in this deal, arrested and then prosecuted. Again, they are asking that all money paid within this transaction should be returned back to the state. Finally, they are asking that as an NDC, if government does not terminate this contract with SML, when they manage to come into power, they will not recognize this deal, and secondly, will go ahead to terminate it.
Hereby demand 4 things. Number 1, the immediate termination of all, not some, all illegal contracts entered into between SML and the GRA. Number 2, the retrieval of all payments by government to SML under the illegal agreements which have occasioned a huge financial loss to the state. So once the agreements are illegal, then the state cannot respect those agreements. Number 3, the NDC demands the immediate publication of the full KPMG investigative report on the dealings between SML and the GRA. Mr. President, why are you hiding that report? Ladies and gentlemen, the NDC also demands the immediate arrest and prosecution of all persons involved in the award of these illegal contracts and the payment of these illegal fees to SML. We wish to reiterate the position of our flag bearer and leader, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, that the next NDC government will not recognize the illegal contracts entered between SML and the Kufuor government upon assumption into office on the 7th of January 2025. When elected into office, we shall launch credible and transparent investigations into the stinking SML scandal with the aim of retrieving for the state all illegal payments made to SML and ensuring the prosecution of all persons who are complicit in these illegal transactions.
Well, meanwhile, the Strategic Mobilization Limited, that's SML, they've been mounting a spirited defense of their contract, insisting they've saved the state millions of cedis. They've also been disputing claims their deal is skewed and it's illegal. Yasewa Sapon is a director for support services at SML.
May 2020, the NPA traded volume, which is the liftings volume or the consumed volume, was 406,379,657 liters. Now, because when we piloted, because we were there, we had put in place some controls. May 2020, the taxable volume, which is the tax volume that government got, was 397,846,713 liters. So now the gap is closing. If you come to June 2020, when we went live, the lifting volume was 450,505,170 liters. Now, if you come to the tax system, so the taxable volume now is 414,597,900 liters. If you go through the data one by one, you will see that SML, because of the controls we have put in place, now the lifting volumes and then the taxable volumes, they are aligning.
I want to bring in Sami Jemfi, who is the NDC's National Communications Officer, joins us on the line right now. Mr. Jemfi, thanks for your time here on Newsnight. You asked for prosecutions, investigations also, but the OSP is already investigating this. The Fourth Estate sent a petition to it, and which is a subject of a probe that may lead to prosecutions if indeed they find anything in there.
We hope that the special prosecutor will expedite his investigations into this matter, because for us the issues are open and shut. It's been established beyond every reasonable doubt that all the three agreements which were awarded by the Akufo-Addo Bawumia NPP government through GRA to SML between 2018 and 2019 were all illegal. That has been established. Nobody is disputing that. In fact, the government itself, in its press statement on this matter, published by the presidency, has conceded to these facts that the transaction audit agreement, which was first awarded to SML sometime in 2018, violated the public procurement law. It didn't go through the laid-down procurement process. It was not discussed and approved by the GRA board as required by the GRA Act. And it was not approved by Parliament as required by Section 33 of the Public Financial Management Act. These same breaches, exist in the two other contracts which were subsequently awarded to SML. I'm talking about the external price verification transaction and the downstream petroleum audit services being offered by SML. All these contracts were neither approved by the people representatives in Parliament, neither were they, discussed and approved by the GRA board.
You want Parliament to review it too?
Come again?
You want Parliament to also take a look at this then?
No, I don't. It's not about what I want. It's about what the laws of this country require. Ghana is a country governed by the rule of law. Section 33 of the Public Financial Management Act says that if any state agency, any public agency, is entering into a multi-year agreement, they must seek the approval of Parliament. If you flout that legal requirement, you have committed a crime. I'm not saying that the laws of this country say so. And this is why our courts, times without number, have held that no valid payments can be made under unconstitutional or illegal agreements. And so if this government concedes that the agreements that were entered between GRA and SML between 2018 and 2019 were illegal, and that no value for money or needs assessments were done before these contracts were awarded to them, if they concede that some of the agreements were duplicitous and that the country did not derive the full benefits of payments we made to SML, they cannot turn around and tell us to allow SML to continue the implementation of one of the agreements, which is the downstream petroleum or the services agreement.
And I
noticed it doesn't make sense.
And I noticed that you've stated that if you win the elections this year, you will not recognize any contract that.
Exactly, I'm not even the one saying it. I was only retreating a point that has already been made on public record by a flag bearer and leader, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. And he's been categorical that the next NDC government will not respect these illegal agreements.
In the meantime, though, you have some means of addressing this through Parliament, and I noticed that your minority members have already demanded that the full KPMG report be laid in Parliament for them to consider. The party has these interactions with your members in Parliament quite regularly. What's the view there? What do you want your members to do on this matter once Parliament resumes?
Appreciate the efforts that have been made by members of Parliament already on this matter. You know that when the Fourth Estate published this expose, the Finance Committee of Parliament took keen interest in the matter. They considered it and recommended to the plenary that Parliament direct the suspension of the agreement. The Parliament made that determination and actually referred the matter to the Finance Committee for further investigations. That was before the President directed KPMG to investigate the matter. KPMG is done with their investigation. They have given their report to the government. Yet President Akufo-Addo is keeping the report in his drawer and is refusing to release the report. The question is, what are they trying to hide?
Mr. Jemfi, thank you very much. And that day, Sami Jemfi is the National Communications Officer of the NDC. Still ahead in our Doomso Diaries today, we'll take you to Udoko Buzia Junction to hear how the intermittent power cuts are affecting the businesses of two brothers who run a tailoring shop.
Experiencing power cuts. When the power is off, our work also gets stuck. We don't meet our customers' needs.
Now you want to stay with us for that right after business, and Emma is here with the very latest. Emma, are we expecting an increase in fuel prices anytime soon?
Actually, no. The Chamber of Petroleum Consumers forecasts fuel prices to remain unchanged in the first pricing window in May. And Chamber of Telecommunications anticipates increased internet access following policy approval for satellite licensing framework in Ghana. Business or Newsnight is brought to you by MTN, Kingdom Books and Stationery, Syntex Tanks, and Pepsodent Charcoal and Herbal.
You hear it. The freedom in our songs. The sound of liberty that rings from Kaswa to Karaga, from Tamale to Takoradi. It's in the pestles that pound from coast to coast. It's in the busy offices, the crowded streets, and the noisy schools. It's in the wisdom of our elders and in the laughter of our children. It's in seeing how far we've come and looking at how much we can grow. It's in knowing that still Ghana go be. MTN.
Son, we are so proud of you for setting up this hospital. I really love those hospital beds and waiting chairs. By the way, did you import them?
No, Dad, I didn't. I actually got them from Kingdom Books and Stationery right here in Ghana.
Wow. We also bought our office supplies, safes, executive desks and chairs from Kingdom, and they gave us expert advice on how to set up our office.
Guys, that makes 3 of us. I also got our sofa and bedroom sets, plus our dining hall furniture for our new home from Kingdom.
Wow, Mom, that makes 4 of us. I usually get my stationery items from Kingdom, and my teacher also mentioned that our classroom furniture was provided by Kingdom.
So there you have it. Whenever you're thinking about setting up an office or acquiring furniture for your home, etc., Kingdom Books and Stationery should be your first point of call. With over 40 years experience in the industry, we stock and supply a wide variety of globally sourced office and home furniture, stationery and equipment. Visit our head office, Osu Akwaje, or our office near the Osu Stadium. We're also in Tema Community 1, opposite Olam SHF, Kumasi KNUST campus, UCC Cape Coast, and now at the Marina Mall, Airport City. Or call us 0302-764101, 764209, or 762792. Visit our website, www.kingdomgh.com.
Water is needed all day, all night. So, remember Syntex Tank all day, all night. 7 years warranty. Select any color for free. In no the crack, in no the spoil. Call Accra on 0244 335 168. Kumasi 0505 555 666. Syntex Tank. A strong, a tough. Water is needed all day, all night. So, remember Syntex Tank all day, all night. 7 years warranty. Select any color for free. In no the crack, in no the spoil. Call Accra on 0244 335 168. Kumasi 0505 555 666. Syntex Tank. A strong, a tough.
Hello, my name is Mami Akua, an entrepreneur and a mother of two. My work keeps me busy most of the time and sometimes it takes me away from my family. But the safety and health of my family is very important to me. As a working mother, I cannot afford to take any chances when it comes to matters of health. That is why I signed up for a family healthcare plan from Equity Health Insurance. My family and I have access to over 700 hospitals, clinics, opticians, dentists, pharmacies, and diagnostic centers across the length and breadth of Ghana. With Equity Health Insurance, I no longer have to worry about medical bills. Anytime a member of my family visits a hospital, Equity Health Insurance has got my family and I covered. What about you? Who has got you covered?
Call Equity Health Insurance on 050-660-7910 and talk to them about your family health needs now. Visit equityhealthinsurance.com for more information. Equity Health Insurance, here for you.
We have a new leader in town. Obiarenti. Amanfo. Madam was Sibebre. When him say my baby, maybe mamu more charcoal for whiter teeth. More charcoal. Not only that, maybe mamu lemon. More lemon. Zinc for fresher breath. More zinc. And fluoride for stronger teeth.
Introducing the new President Charcoal packed with more power with a combination of charcoal and lemon for naturally whiter teeth. Grab yours now. This advert is FDA approved.
Hello, Ghana. It's time to take action and shape the future of our nation.
That's right. The limited voter register exercise is here, running from May 7 to May 27, 2024, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. each day.
If you're 18 and above or missed registering previously, head over to your nearest district office of the Electoral Commission. Attempting to register more than once is criminal, and persons found guilty will face the law.
And remember, don't forget to bring your identification with you. If you don't have an ID, don't worry.
That's correct. You can still register by bringing 2 registered voters who can vouch for you.
Let's join hands and ensure no one is left out. Every vote matters.
Make sure to mark your calendars and register to vote for the December 7th, 2024 elections.
Let's make a difference together.
Welcome to Business on Newsnight. I am Emma Davis. Let's settle for the details. The Chamber of Petroleum Consumers, COPEC, says it expects prices of petroleum products to remain unchanged at the pumps for the first pricing window in May. Market leader Guel is currently selling a liter of petrol for 14 cedis 99 per Swiss, while diesel sells at 14 cedis 80 per Swiss. Speaking to Joy Business, the Executive Secretary of COPEC, Duncan Amoah, forecast that prices will remain stable on the market.
What I can confirm is that industry figures as of this evening, petrol prices, which is gasoline, could have done about 2.3% increases. You could have done about another 3% reduction for diesel or argo, whilst LPG could have gone down by some 3% equally. What we suspect will happen, especially in windows like this, is that there's something called cross-pricing where as many as will sell petrol will sell diesel. And so instead of going up here 2% and going down here 2%, prices will rather remain stable for the first window in May.
Executive Secretary of COPEC, Duncan Amoah. Now, the outgoing Chief Executive Officer of the Volta Aluminium Company, Valco, Daniel Titus Glover, has tasked his successor to ensure existing agreements, projects and plans are executed to improve the company's fortunes. Speaking at the handing over ceremony at the plant in Tema, Daniel Titus Glover admits the company has a number of challenges that must be addressed.
The cost of production continued to go high, whilst the revenue continued to dwindle. So we need this value addition as the final solution to our problems in the plant. The natural gas project, like we all know, to connect from Sentio to Carbon Bake, the boiler house, then the cast house, is so important to us. We are also going to look at the Vaco project, then the Vaco Mexan project. On that, we also signed by Vaco and Joseph Tichimenson. Then the Pastor 3 bridge, like we all know, is a big challenge for us.
Daniel Titus Glover is outgoing CEO of Valco. Meanwhile, incoming CEO and former legislator Kingsley Abuaji-Jedu has assured that he will help turn things around at Valco with the needed support.
Relatively, the labor front is stabilized. That does not mean that all the problems are solved. But we've moved on from the labor front to, for me, the most important aspect of the organization, which is finances. Today, our finances are not in the best of shapes. But you know, God works in a miraculous way. When he came in, the issues were more to do with labor than finances. And he is an HR person. So God used the HR person to come and solve issues on the HR front. The same God has brought me as a finance person at the time when the company is bleeding financially.
Incoming CEO of Valco, Kingsley Abuaji-Jedu, there. Now, the Ghana Chamber of Telecommunications is hopeful the approval of SpaceX Starlink Ghana Limited to start satellite connectivity will provide alternative internet connection for businesses and individuals. A statement issued by the National Communications Authority last week said the approval of the application follows the policy agreement of the satellite licensing framework by the Ministry of Communications and Digitalization. Chief Executive of the Chamber, Dr. Ken Ashigbe, said the satellite will also provide an opportunity to reach areas that do not have access to internet.
Once you bring that in, what it would do is that it will help the resilience. It would help the resilience of our connectivity, so that when you have a challenge here, you have other options that you're going to use. It would also help satellites coming into the mix would help us be able to reach some of the very difficult to reach areas using the other means of connectivity. So you will be able to bring that into it. And again, as I said, it will build on our resilience so that it's not only just submarine fiber that you're using or terrestrial fiber that you're using, but you also have satellites in the mix.
Chief Executive of the Ghana Chamber of Telecommunications, Engineer Dr. Ken Ashigbe, there. Now, economist Lord Mensah has described the Social Security and National Insurance Trust scheme as unsustainable. He is of the view that the growing trend where allowances of workers are more than salaries pose a threat to the scheme since contributions are based on salaries. Professor Mensah stated that the situation could affect SSNIT's operations in the future.
As we speak now, it doesn't look well. I mean, it's not sustainable. Government has not been employing over the years, and the private sector contribution is minimal. SSNIT did an exercise recently where they've been, encouraging the private sector to join the pension pool. But then, if you look at the structure, you realize that it's the government contributors that constitute the largest chunk, and as a result of that, if their contributions are mainly on their basic salary, which is stagnated, but then you have allowances that, tends to increase, it affects contribution. So
Economist Professor Lord Mensah ending business on Newsnight with me, Emma Davis.
Emma, thank you very much. And Ms. Bao is here with sports.
Yeah, Evans, well, the Black Stars captain Andre Ayew has been speaking, and he's been urging Ghanaians to be patient with the national team following the recent poor run of form. The senior national team, they have recorded just one win in their last 10 games across all competitions, including 2 defeats at the 2023 African Cup of Nations in Ivory Coast. The team's form under Chris Hughton led to the dismissal of the coach, and likewise, former Black Stars player Otto Addo returning to the role of head coach. Things haven't quite improved. But for Ayew, who has been around the team in the said period, apologized for the team's recent performances and called on Ghanaians to keep supporting the team.
For me, I've been in the team for a very long time, so we need to stay calm. We need to learn from what went right, what went wrong. Keep working very hard to make our nation very proud, because it is something very special. But we cannot hide behind the fact that the results lately has not been the best. And we are sorry for that, but I know that it's part of the game, it's part of football. Football is like a cycle. You have moments we were on top for about 10, 12 years where now it's other people, but we need to keep working hard. I think we have the talent, we have the players. It's just a matter of time and a little bit of luck for things to just switch around.
Nana Ama Ajeman on chasing goal with Nanaba all the way in France. Well, let's just bring you something from Dreams FC, because their head coach, Abdul Karim Zito, he says he has picked up valuable lessons from the club's participation in the Confederations Cup that will help future generation. Well, the Dreams FC lost 3-0 at the Barbara Sports Stadium at the Barbara Stadium on Sunday in the semi-final leg that ensured that Zamalek, the Egyptian powerhouse, progressed to the final. And speaking after the game, he was full of praise for his team and emphasized the lessons picked from their fairy tale run in their first ever campaign will go a long way to improve Ghana football. That's it. Evans, did you watch the game though? Did you monitor Dreams FC?
Well, I did, and when it ended, 3-0?
Yeah,
I was disappointed. I was very.
But they did well. It's the first appearance in the competition.
They did well.
They
got the money.
Yeah,
some good money.
Yeah, they've got some good money.
Yeah.
I think they got almost $500,000.
Oh goodness me!
Yeah,
dollars, not cedis.
Yeah,
right?
$500,000. Yeah,
absolutely. That's good money.
Really good. Yeah.
And thank you very much, Bao. A few of your messages on our WhatsApp console now. This one says, Evans, I thought the ILO report had been denied earlier, so no state institution under this government will ever be truthful for once. That's Jeffrey, Center Start 1. And this one says, hey, please, how things are unfolding. Will there still be May Day parade on 1st May 2024? Citizens are not happy at all. God bless you for your objectivity, he says. And another one sending us his thoughts on this says, so what is the government doing right since it assumed power in 2017? Everything has gone from bad to worse. That's from Kofi Kisi Edu there, Center Start 1. And another one from James in Kumasi says, this government, he says, is heartless. They are playing politics with everything. Why is the government not releasing the money for the flood victims? And a final one from citizen Sika in the University of Ghana says, I think that as part of the good governance practiced by this government, the presidency must not hesitate to release the full report of the KPMG in this dubious deal, which has the potential to punch holes in already leaking public purse. Those are a few of your thoughts on the stories you've heard so far. Well, in today's episode of Doomsaw Diaries, we'll tell you the devastating effect the outages is having on the sewing business. Adobe Asari tells a story about the struggles of tailors and seamstresses in the midst of the crisis. There's more in this report.
Edward Chibble is a 53-year-old man whose livelihood depends only on his handicraft, sewing. The recent inconsistent supply of power is having a terrible toll on him.
I'm experiencing power cuts. When the power is off, our work also gets stuck. We don't meet our customers' needs.
His younger brother, 50-year-old Benjamin Jubbo, works with him. He recounts how he had to improvise to satisfy a client when Dunso took a seat at his workplace.
Sometimes it goes off and doesn't come until the next day. So 4 days ago, it went off. So I had to run to East Legon to go and do some job for someone because the person needed it so much.
The men share with me how they have no other alternative to make ends meet.
This is what we do to make a living. So when there is no power, you can't do any work. We don't have any other work to do attached to what we are doing now. We are just sewing. Things are stuck. So even if you get a generator and you sew, how much will you charge your customer for the person to be able to pay? Even with electricity, when you charge, they complain. So when you add generator, you buy fuel to sew, and you have to add a little more cost to it. It's very disgusting.
So, how is the situation affecting them financially?
Power cuts here in Ghana make us lose a lot of money. because in a week at least, if you don't have anything, you can have at least some 1,000 be. But when power interruptions happen like that, you cannot have that money. You end up maybe what you use to buy food. After buying food, you don't have anything again. Our financial status is not going up.
Now that the lights goes off and doesn't come out, you can't pinpoint on what you get in the week. It's it's a problem.
You have to feed your family. It's even difficult for us. It's very difficult for us.
These brothers, like majority of business owners, are calling for a load shedding timetable.
The load shedding has to come so that everybody will know how to plan his or her things.
We need a timetable, but the timetable too is not coming for.
In the same vein, some seamstresses at the Kantamandu market, here in Accra, have not been left out of this crisis.
Sometimes our lights go out for 3 days. This retards our progress with work, and we tend to lose customers. It's electricity we use in doing our work, so when it goes off, I have no other option than to go home. The power situation is really affecting us. These things I sew are things I sell to take care of my family, so it's troubling when the lights goes off.
Thousands of artisans across the country continue to reel under the devastating impact of doomsday and do not have a clue on how to navigate around their businesses. With the back and forth on what really is the cause of this situation, whose job is it really to ensure a stable power supply for these people? Adobe Asari's report read to you.
And that there is your Doomsday Diary today. And go on to our many social media platforms and share your own diary with us. You will share it with the rest of the world as part of this series. This is your election headquarters. Our election headquarters is always brought to you by Petrosol Clean Fuel in full quantity. CIMA, the Chartered Institute of Management Accountants, AICPA and CIMA together as the Association of International Certified Professional Accountants and the German Ozone Medical Center, Alternative Therapy, Dental Wellness and Beauty. Tonight, the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, says he will set up a Minerals Development Bank if it becomes president next year. Now, he's been campaigning. The proposal is part of the wider-ranging reforms aimed at encouraging sustainable mining in the country. He's been speaking in a meeting with the clergy and faith-based organizations in the Eastern region to kickstart his tour of the region as part of his 2024 campaign.
We'll open new community mining schemes, and our TVET institutions will train miners in vocational and sustainable mining. I also intend, and very, very important, that to help the mining industry, we should establish in collaboration with the private sector a minerals development bank. Just as we have done for Agri Development Bank, we will have a minerals development bank to support the mining sector, so that when we discover the minerals, they can finance the exploitation of the minerals, and we keep the money in Ghana. So we will have a minerals development bank. These are just some of the ideas that I believe that if you support me, we will transform Ghana. I believe it is possible. My record as Vice President tells you that I am a doer, I am a problem solver.
And that there is a Vice President campaigning in the Eastern region. And as you know, the election headquarters will be all over the Ajisu by-elections tomorrow in the Ashanti region. And ahead of that, we've been listening to the Electoral Commission. The Director of Electoral Services, Dr. Sribo Kweku, says you're ready.
We have submitted all the materials and the resources that are needed to the district. I've been in Ajisu since Saturday. Everything is set. Today, we are concluding the packaging and the orientation of how the work will be done with the night security and the rest. We have had a lot of meeting with the security, so I would say that we are good to go. We are hoping that by 6:30, all the polling stations should have received their materials, so we can start at 7 o'clock. So far, we haven't encountered any challenge.
Okay. We've also heard some allegations of people stuffing ballots and all of that. What is your response to that?
I was thinking that we have gone beyond this form of allegations.
And you really want to stay with us here on your election headquarters tomorrow. We have around-the-clock coverage for you with a special results show beginning from 5 p.m. all the way to 8 p.m. where we'll bring you parallel coverage, comprehensive analysis, especially with the Ojomi factor there in Ejuso, that independent candidate who used to be a member of parliament on the ticket of the MPP, still holds the record when it comes to the most votes secured by an MPP parliamentary candidate there in the national elections in percentage terms. And we anticipate that it's going to be a very interesting race indeed. You don't want to miss that the whole day tomorrow. That's it for News Night tonight. My name is Evans Mensah. I want to stay tuned for some good music in place of that small opinion.